Hey everybody, my name is Mike, and today I'm going to be reviewing Scream 6 from 2023. The reason I'm reviewing these films, the Scream films, is because obviously there's a new Scream film coming out this month in about 2 weeks. And if you don't know this channel, I'm a huge Scream fan and horror fan. So, yeah, let's just get into it. So, this opening scene is my favorite opening scene in a Scream film so far because, one, it's different, and two, it takes a huge risk, and I love what it did. And, you know, this whole Scream film is way different than any other movie in the Scream franchise, and that's why I love it, because it took a huge risk, and it ended out being an amazing product. And you know, that's why when I see other creators hating on this film, mainly because Sidney Prescott wasn't in it, but I feel like her absence wasn't that big of a deal because I still had fun. There were still comedic elements, you know, heartfelt elements, and you know, I just had a fun time with the characters that we had. And personally, I prefer the Core 4 over the Core 3, which is insane to say, and I can't believe I just said that, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's times are changing, and you know, to be a popular franchise, you need to be able to hook in new audiences. So if you're bringing in, you know, old characters, not saying Sidney Prescott's old at all, but you know, bringing in characters that have been with us since the beginning, and we're on to the 6th film, is a bit of a reach and kind of pointless to the new fans that haven't seen any, and we're just expected to know this character. And that's why, you know, they brought in the new Core 4, Scream 5, but still brought back Sidney. So I'm just glad they brought in a risk and it worked out for them. And yeah, I love that. And then obviously the way that they did this opening scene was sick because it set the tone for the film. I mean, it was the only Scream film to reveal the killer in the opening scene, or to reveal the killer before the 3rd act. And that was amazing. And then they ended up killing the killer, which one, makes the killer more scary, the actual killer, and two, dude, that mask is insane. I love the look of the mask in this film. It's so amazing. You know, it's also different. You know, this whole movie is insanely different. They changed the mask. You know, they bring in new characters that are likable, even though most of them were the killers, and if they weren't the killers, they ended up dying. And even that Bailey officer, dude, he wasn't a bad character. Like, when I first saw this movie, after his daughter was quote-unquote dead, him crying, I felt bad for the dude. You know, I was like, man, they really just killed his daughter. And this dude has to fight with that, or live with that, and then he's gonna fight thinking about that, so he has a chip on his shoulder. Like, man, that was some good writing. And then eventually when he ended up being the killer, I was like, mind blown. I was like, what? But getting ahead of myself, you know, we bring back the Core 4, and they now become the Core 4. So we see Chad, Tara, Mindy at this party. Sam comes in, tases this dude that was, you know, trying to take advantage of Tara or whatever, and it was pretty nice to see, because Sam is meant to be a protector for her sister after everything that happened, and she clearly cares about her sister, and that was just great. You know, that's what I expected out of this, and we got it, so I'm happy with that. But I'm also happy with what they did with the character Sam, and the way that she clearly is struggling with what happened in the film prior, the events of the film. And it's so realistic, because just say that all your friends get murdered and then not all, but most of your friends get murdered, and then you have to kill your boyfriend because he was a serial killer, and if you didn't kill him, you would have been killed. That takes a toll on somebody, man. You know, you're not gonna be able to do all that and then just walk away perfectly fine, the same person you were before it happened. That's not gonna happen. So I'm glad they did that therapy thing. And if someone needs therapy, it's definitely Sam. And then how they put in the element where she was like, it felt right. You know, so like leaving the door open that she could end up being the killer. That was just perfect writing. And that's how I'm like still like, how do people hate on this movie? It's so well written. And yeah, I just think, you know, I might be glazing a little bit, but this movie is like almost perfect. But yeah, after that we get to the core four and friends at the house. Someone gets killed, and then, you know, that other girl wasn't actually dead. They faked her death. And the excuse of how her death was faked was weird. I don't know if they actually gave an excuse, but like, how do you swap the bodies in time? It's not like he's gonna get there a lot quicker. Like, you know, these people have gone through this before. They're definitely gonna call the police right away as soon as they get off that ladder to go to the other side. And like, I'm kind of like, why? What? Like, was that necessary to fake her death? Like, there could have just been, you know, two killers, him and his son, Bailey, and then Ethan, or whatever. And, like, you know, that would have been fine. But I mean, I like what they did, so I'm not gonna hate on it. But and then, you know, we get the introduction of Kirby. She returns. She's a great character in Scream 4. Super glad she came back on this one. Hopefully she ends up getting that spin-off TV series that we heard something about a while back. Don't know if that was actually announced or I just saw a video about it, but that would be sick to see. But after that, you know, we get the characters finding the shrine where those two killers in the beginning were framed for owning it, even though in the conclusion we learn that Richie had that, and that's all the Richie stuff he collected. And the way that he got all that is that cops like money, and it gives a good excuse on why some kid has friggin' crime stuff, you know, evidence. But yeah, so I like that part. And then I really like when they were in the core four and Kirby and then Ethan were in the car, and then Bailey was outside and they were trying to track where the Ghostface call was. And they had, you know, everybody's ready for freaking war at this park. Nod to Scream 2. And then, you know, Ghostface calls, answers the call, you know. Sam answered the call. And then Ghostface is actually at the apartment of Gail, which is 40 plus minutes away, I think, which is insane. So you're forced to speed down the busy roads of NYC and try to get there to save your friend's life. Like, in the theaters, I was like, my heart was pumping. And then we saw, obviously, Gail's, I don't know if that was assistant or boyfriend, got stabbed to death, thrown through the bookshelf, I think it was, and Ghostface came out of nowhere. Dude, that was insane. I love that. That was such a cool shot. Ghostface, like, that was probably my favorite shot of the film. And then obviously Gail, Ghostface has a talk with Gail and says, like, you know, you would have been a good killer. And I love that because, yeah, she would have been a good killer, you know. And I think eventually this would never happen, but that would be cool if she eventually became a killer and she really thought about what he said and was like, yeah, maybe this is who I really am, and snaps. That would be devastating, but that would be cool to see. But anyways, she gets gutted, but you know, she survived. I mean, I'm gonna call her Gail Terminator 2.0 right here. And this isn't the only time in the film where somebody gets obliterated by a knife, where sometimes in the franchise someone gets stabbed once and they die. This movie had multiple times where people were stabbed multiple times and ended up surviving. And, you know, it is a horror movie, but it gets to a point where it's like, alright, we understand plot armor, you know, you want them to be in the sequel, but it's like, bro, it's gotta be a little realistic, you know? But yeah, this goes into the train scene where Mindy gets stabbed in the, like, kind of gutted, dude. She got, like, stabbed and Ghostface, like, raised it up. Like, I feel like the average person would die there. And not to be rude, but Mindy might be the average person. But obviously, she didn't die, so she's definitely something else. She is not the average person, dude. Their genetics are just insane. Like, I'm pretty sure Randy got stabbed 30 times, you know, shot in the last one. Crazy. But yeah, next, you know, they lure the killer in to the movie theater, and here's another person who gets basically gutted and survives. Now, don't get me wrong, bro, this dude Chad was beating the crap out of Ghostface, dude. He hit like one-liners. This dude Ghostface was on the ground, and Chad was literally about to kill Ghostface, but obviously he gets stabbed in the side. Stabbed multiple times by both Ghostfaces, in the chest, in the friggin' ribs, in the, you know, heart, it looked like at one point, shoulders, stabbed everywhere. Disgusting, you know, insane. Bleeding out the mouth. Fell right to his knees, like, bruh. I was in the theaters, like, crying. I was like, no way, they just bro. We didn't even know if Mindy would survive. So I was like, yo, are they really about to just kill everybody? Like, is this really like that movie? Like, it's gonna be that kind of movie? And then, obviously, it was a fake out, like almost every single attack in this movie. And at the end, we see him stick up the 4, say, Core 4 for life. But, Core 4 has been split apart because of some issues in firing. Screw Paramount on that, or whoever fired Melissa, because she's a great actress and a great human being. But anyways, the Ghostface reveal, when I was in the theaters, I was like so shocked. And then I heard the motive of this reveal, and I sat back in my chair. I said, this is kind of familiar. And it clicked in that this was the same reason Stu's mother was the killer in Scream 2, bro. And I was like, yo, are we actually doing this? First Scream 5 was the boyfriend, and then Scream 6 is the parents' revenge. At first I was like, bro, is this a parody? Is this a joke? But no, they basically took the whole idea from Scream 2, put it into this movie. And, you know, it doesn't make me dislike the movie at all. It's just kind of like, you guys could have did better. You could have did better. And that wasn't the best way to do it. But I understand it. So, you know, I'll take it. But yeah, when Sam ends up getting her hands on Bailey, bro, buddy, that dude was a goner. Like, he was not surviving that, bro. She stabbed him everywhere, bro. Holy, bro, like, I don't wish that on any ghost face. One stab to the neck, he'd probably die. No, she stabs him on his arms 100 times each. stabs him in his eye, twists the knife, and then his son gets freaking stabbed in the mouth. I was like, what the? And then I'm pretty sure shot in the head. And then, you know, his daughter was shot in the head. His other son was destroyed by Sam. Like, this dude's whole bloodline is dead. And like, I was like, damn, dude, Richie, look what Richie did caused all of this. And that's realistic for someone that goes insane and starts killing people. That's realistic. And yeah, I liked how they did that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about my reaction and review to this movie. And did you guys like the film? And are you guys excited for Scream 7? So let me know. Peace out, guys. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good evening. Bye.